Well, technology has certainly created the impression that what makes us human and what makes us living beings could in the end be replaced, substituted, and in some way synthesized by different mechanisms and modules, so that the unity of the living being is something that we could construct out of single mechanisms, that we could replace in parts and even replace in central parts, which we can, obviously. We can replace the heart by an artificial heart. But we cannot replace the core of the organism, which in my view is the unity of brain and organism, which makes up what I call the deep body. So the self-regulating system that is constituted by the interaction of brain, in particular the brain stem, so the vital core of the brain, and its connection to the vital organs and to the inner body. This is something that we cannot substitute. We can substitute single organs, but we cannot substitute the holistic unity of this deep body, so to speak. But technology has created the impression that we are just a kind of combination, a kind of construction of different organs, of different modules, of different mechanisms, and therefore I think it has created a wrong impression of what life is. What comes on top of it is that it has also created the idea that we could connect ourselves via the brain to all kinds of external systems. So the idea has been widespread even in certain concepts of embodiment, so to speak, functionalist concepts of embodiment. Technology has also created the impression that we could connect ourselves via the brain to all kinds of external devices and data processing systems. Even concepts, certain concepts of embodiment, such as what I call extended functionalism, in particular represented by Andy Clark. Certain concepts of embodiment create the idea that we could connect the brain to microchips, to computers, to all kinds of information processing devices, and then kind of extend our mind onto external systems or feed our brains with data programs, download something into our brains and whatever, which is far from any realization and is a complete misconception of the brain, because the brain first is not to be equated with the mind. So the mind is something that needs an organism that is extended over the organism and over the body. But then the brain, again, is not just a data processing machine, because the brain is what is sometimes called not hardware, but wetware, which at least gives an idea that the important processes in the brain may not be conceived just in terms of digitalized zeros and ones, but that they are very complex biochemical processes which proceed within water, which would lead to a breakdown of any computer immediately. So this already makes it clear that the brain is completely different from a computer. But also the processes that are going on are only to a certain extent abstractable and digitalizable, and which means the on and off of neurons can be equated to the zero and ones of digital systems, but that is only an abstraction. What is actually going on is a much more complicated biochemical processes, which includes all kinds of fuzziness down to the quantum mechanic fuzziness of the atomic processes in the brain. But you could also take the neuroendocrine processes, the whole humoral processes in which the brain is embedded, which continuously affect the processes that are going on in the brain. So it is a misconception of the brain to see it as only an information processing machine that we could feed with all kinds of programs, and which we could in the end even download to external systems. But technology has created this impression, sometimes a popularized technology, also a science fiction technology, where in Matrix or all kinds of movies, it's easy to download anything into the brain. This is precisely that. It's science fiction. It's not science.